just mentioned by Adele. Right,
Curiosity.
curiosity. So, curiosity is the absence of certainty.
Yeah.
See? So, whereas you go to these other places and you get certainty, this says, be not certain about anything unless you're certain about it. Right? So it says, don't fool yourself. To thine own self be true. As you'll see here, this is saying you really have to get to know who you are. That's what it's about. It's not about what religions say, or the idea of being in heaven. I mean, I'd be interested to know where this lady feels heaven is.
Yes.
Does she know where it is, exactly?
Well, she thinks she's going to be with Jesus in a spirit, world, form, where she's going to.
So it's not like a physical world.
Heaven. No.
It's not a physical place.
And
How does she know
knows
it's not
witnesses say
physical?
it's going to be a physical one, because of various references in the Bible that to her.
I'm not
point.
sure of anywhere where it says heaven is a spiritual, non-physical place, having read it. But if that's her interpretation of a particular, that's fine. But you see, we don't have to get into that. Why? Because we're not into studying that. This isn't a religious study group at all. You've come to the wrong place if you think this is religious. This is a self-study group. This is about where you learn about you intimately, and you see very intimately what you're doing in yourself, getting to know you deeper and deeper through curiosity, endless curiosity, and the avoidance as much as possible of concrete certainty and judgment, unless you have a concrete certainty and judgment. Do you have a concrete certainty and judgment about anything? Right, yes you do, if you come to this group. What are you certain about?
We are experiencing.
You experience. You don't. What does exist mean?
I've got two right now.
You have a debate about what exists means, but you don't have a debate about saying, does everybody experience? Could you hear me? You're experiencing me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always think at a big audience there'd always be somebody who always says,
Oh, no.
well, put your bloody hand down. Right. Okay. So, where are we? The love for God, the longing for God, is the driving force in every human being. This is really the suggestion that there is a driving force for you to find something more, because just the physical organising and getting things together and everything is not going to be satisfying, because you're not a physical being. You're a consciousness that's consciously aware of itself. And you can't deny that. Because we can all see it. We can watch you. We're watching you being conscious, and we're watching you process that information through your thinking system.
But I'm just thinking, is
I'm
that...
usually having a but.
Yes, because when you say we're longing, these things won't satisfy you. I'm caught up in my particular web. That the physical is what I want. I want the satisfaction of the physical and all that goes with this creation. And I can't find... People are saying to me, you can't have that, but this is much more attractive. This unknown God you don't know, you've never seen, somewhere is going to promise you, you're going to have all this peace and happiness.
You haven't read this yet, have you?
No.
Aha! So,
Sorry, just, I haven't
your
looked at
questions
the
may
details.
well be perfect for us to continue.
Right. Sorry.
That's all right. Right. So we weren't there. We'll just say, most people find life on this earth incomprehensible. They cannot recognise its meaning and purpose because they see only through their physical eyes. This is what we're talking about. The contact with their spiritual eyes has not yet been established. Therefore, everything seems meaningless. Their sorrows, their trials, their loneliness. But when you understand that this life is one of many learning periods, one link in a long chain, you will at first sense and later comprehend more and more fully the connections. This is what it's about, making the connections. Then your goal will no longer be immediate happiness through the fulfillment of every single wish in that existence. You will instead direct your vision toward the whole. Thus you can bear the deprivations of this life. and thus you can pass the tests and fulfill the conditions necessary to enter a higher state of existence. This is what I'm talking about, a different energy. A permanent happiness that cannot be taken away by any outside force. Right? Now some people here will have more awareness of that, have more, greater awareness of that than others. But this is something that you have to learn through experience. Now, I would like to talk about the group of people who have passed through the first gates, who have already recognised these fundamental truths. Such people often do not progress as well as they could. After all, how fast each individual will proceed is up to his or her free will. One person may just drift along and have to reincarnate many, many times to overcome or fulfill one thing, experiencing it again and again. Others who have recognised these basic truths will act differently and direct their aim toward spiritual progress, which does not mean withdrawing from earthly problems. On the contrary, for earthly and spiritual problems are very closely connected. An earthly problem is actually the expression of a specific spiritual problem. The difference is only in how the solution of a problem is sought, from what vantage point. Only if you solve the problem on the spiritual level can you find its true earthly solution. So it's saying the root of your problems is a spiritual problem. And if you try and solve the problem at the level of the earth physical, you're really only dealing with the symptoms or the consequence, not the root. So this is what we mean by you have to go deeper. And actually, if you understand this fully, you've got to understand that there is a difference between your conscious mind, the mind that this conscious searchlight of your mind, which is preoccupied with what you're attending to at the particular moment, and your ability to actually increasingly become aware through your learning of certain circumstances that there are things going on inside of you, making decisions and speaking to yourself about things automatically without awareness. And as you get to know you more and more, you will realise that there's a lot going on in you that you didn't know was going on in you. Because a lot of it is hidden behind a wall. A lot of it is contained or parcelled off because you'd rather not go down that particular avenue. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's certain resistances to this work. Because a lot of stuff is behind a wall or in your subconscious mind, out of your awareness for good reason. Or at least from your ego's point of view, for good reason. Right. I'm lost.
We often see.
Just at the top, just at the top.
We often see.
Sorry? We often see. Alright, we often see that people know this or that, but they still do not perceive the connecting links within themselves. They still look for God and for knowledge somewhere outside of themselves, for instance, through increasing their outer knowledge, which in itself is good, but not enough. There must be a continuous balancing. The acquired knowledge must always be applied on a personal level, digested and evaluated within so that harmony is established. To achieve true progress, you have to grow from both sides. New outer knowledge has to be acquired when the old has been integrated and assimilated within. Knowledge must never remain theoretical. Now I want to say on this point, a lot of people talk about knowledge when they're talking about beliefs, like your friend perhaps. Or somebody talking about reincarnation. If reincarnation isn't a direct experience, then it's not knowledge. Do you understand that?
Say that again.
If reincarnation hasn't been within your realm of experience so that you have a memory of reincarnation, it's just an idea or a belief. And you have to, if you're on the path of truth, you have to distinguish between belief and truth. And remember, there is only a few truths which we haven't fully explored yet on this path, but you know a couple of steps of truth. I experience my experiences, right? You actually know another one, that as you experience your experience,